Bread and pastry production is one of the most important sectors in food processing industry because these products are widely consumed every day. The production process involves several key parts. Key steps are starting from preparing, measuring the ingredients, mixing, kneading the dough, shaping, proofing, cooling, and finally packaging the finished product. Each of these steps requires strict hygiene and safety practices to ensure the products are safe to eat and consistent in quality. Besides producing high quality baked goods, the industry also needs to safeguard the workers who operate machinery, handle ingredients, and work in a fast-paced environment. That is why hazard identification is extremely important in this field. Bread and pastry production has potential physical, biological, chemical, psychological, and economic hazards that needs to be identified early. Understanding this hazard helps us prevent accidents, reduce contamination, and maintain smooth production throughout the entire process.
Now I'll be explaining about the 5 main types of hazard found in the food processing industry. The first one is physical hazards. Physical hazards are hazards that come from machine and the work environment. Some common sources include unguarded machines, loud noise, heat from ovens or boilers, exposed chemical parts, and wet or sleepy floors. This hazard can cause injury such as cuts, burns, electric shock, hearing loss, or slip and falls. The second type is chemical hazards. These usually come from cleaning chemicals like chlorine or alcohol, leaking lubricant or oils from machine, airborne dust such as flour and sugar, and poor storage of chemical. Chemical exposure can cause skin or eyes irritation, breathing problems, or even chemical burns. Next is biological hazards. These hazards happen when workers are exposed to raw ingredients like milk, eggs, or meat, dirty or unclean machine, damp areas with mold, or dust sticks and residue build up. Examples of biological hazards include bacteria, fungi, viruses, and parasites. This can cause food contamination, illness, or allergic reaction. The fourth type is psychological hazards. These hazards come from things like high workload, long working hours, repetitive tasks, heat, noise, shift rotation, and lack of support from supervisors. This condition can lead to stress, fatigue, and reduced concentration among workers. And the last step is ergonomic hazards. This happens when workers use awkward posture, lift heavy items, repeat the same movement for long periods, use vibrating machine, or stand too long. As a result, workers may experience muscle strains, joint pain, and general body discomfort.
Everyone, for the risk assessment, our group has chosen hierarchy risk matrix table. It is because hierarchy risk matrix table is a visual tool used in hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control to evaluate and prioritize potential hazards based on their likelihood and severity. In the table, there is 8 different areas that we have chosen. The first one will be raw material with a hazard of sleeping hazard, and the risk level would be medium. Next is processing line with the hazard of machinery entanglement, and the risk is very extreme. For the cooking area, the hazard will be steam burn, and the hazard level is high. For chemical cleaning area, it will be chemical burns, and the hazard is medium, while cold storage has cold exposure hazard, and the risk is medium as well. Meanwhile, boiler room has a hazard of steam explosion and the hazard is high. Other than that, there is forklift movement with the hazard of collision risk and the risk is extreme. And lastly, waste area and the hazard would be biological contamination and the hazard is medium. For the control measure of hazard, there is 5 stages of hierarchy of control and the most effective one would be elimination, which means physically remove the hazard. Next is substitution, and that is replacing the hazard. Following those two, there is engineering control, which is isolate people from the hazard. Meanwhile, the second least effective method would be administrative control, that is change the way people works, while the least effective will be PPE or known as protect the worker with personal protective equipment.
Next is a few recommendations to improve safety in bakery and pastry production. First, regular safety trainings. This helps workers recognize hazards and know how to handle equipment safely. Second, always ensure workers to use proper PPE such as gloves, aprons, and heat resist tools. This reduces injuries in the bakery. Third, machine should be inspected and maintained regularly. This prevents sudden breakdowns that can cause accidents. Next, bakers should follow GMP and HACCP to keep the workplace clean and ensure food safety at every step of production. We also recommend improving communication between workers and supervisors. Sharing risks early can help prevent accident. And finally, we must build a strong safety culture. When everyone practices safe habits, the bakery becomes safer, cleaner, and more efficient.
So, in conclusion, bread and pastry production may look simple from the outside, but it is actually involves many potential hazards at every stage of the process. These hazards can affect the workers' safety as well as the quality of the products. By carrying out a proper risk assessment and applying suitable control measures based on the hierarchy of the control, we can minimize injuries, reduce contamination, and create a safer working environment. And to maintain long safety, it is important for companies to provide continuous training update about safety procedures and ensure that machine and tools are well maintained. Regular inspection, good housekeeping practices, and strict personal hygiene also play a major role in keeping the workplace safe. Overall, safety is not a one-time action, but an ongoing responsibility. When workers, supervisors, and management work together, bread and pastry production can run more efficiently, more safely, and produce high-quality baked products for consumers. That's all.